Hi, this is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm here with Joel Clark for another episode of Wuxia Workshop. And today we're going to be talking about 99 Cycling Swords, also called Lungwei Village, a 1978 film starring Polly Shang-Kaun. This movie is really difficult to describe in a handful of words. It's basically about a group of characters that are trying to find a man named Chu Ming, who is somehow trying to restore the Qing dynasty after it's fallen. And he's being aided by a traitor within an organization or group of people called the Four Dragons, but they quickly become irrelevant before becoming relevant again at the end in a very odd way. And the movie culminates with the revelation that there's not just one Chu Ming, but there's like many. And except two of them look exactly alike, and the rest are just all face painted to look like Chu Ming, which I think was just a special effects issue. It wasn't that they were supposed to look different at all. So that's kind of the lowdown of the plot. Did I leave out anything you think is important, Joel? Or
there's a few other kind of subplots that go along with it, but I'm sure we'll get into it as we go in. I do want to point out that I was equally confused by this movie, but I really enjoyed it. So it was a peculiar experience watching it, because they set it up, and like I said, I was talking about you before the show, like they set up like the first 5-10 minutes that this Chu Ming guy is like instrumental somehow into restoring the deposed Qing dynasty, which is something that nobody wants because it's already a different dynasty and it's illegal. It's basically sedition, is what they're plotting.
Well, we're in the Republican period at this point, so it's But yeah, go on.
Yeah, the point being that the guy is trying to overturn the new order and bring back the Qing dynasty, but they don't really go into the specifics of that plan. And I thought that we were going to get more of that. We never get any more of that. The important thing is nobody knows who Chu Ming is, but he will murder you. Like, he's amazing at killing people. So it just kind of becomes like a mystery movie.
You know what I could have used more of here was good editing. This movie really suffered from some editing issues. Now, what that might have been, obviously, this is a version that's available on Prime, and it's kind of it looks like it's like the bootleggy version of the movie. Possibly it's not. It's possible we're not seeing the actual cut that we're supposed to see here, but there were some moments where people were jumping around in odd ways, and it was strictly because of the way the film was spliced together, and I think that added tremendously to the confusion. Wouldn't you agree?
I want to be careful with how I answer that question, because my confusion arose, I think, almost exclusively because I expected the movie to do everything differently than it did. And I think that's really the core of it. So the editing, I don't know that it added to the confusion exactly, but it would often leave me kind of marooned in the events that were happening.
Okay.
It's like, okay, well, why are we seeing this now? I mean, I get why this scene is here, but why is this what we cut to? That happened like a lot in this movie.
Yeah, no, but that kind of added to my confusion. But the other thing too is it happened during action sequences. It wasn't just editing scene to scene. There were moments where it's like, wait a second, this person was standing over here and now they're over here, and I don't understand what happened in between those two actions. Do you know what I mean?
I thought that was part of the mystery. A lot of times, especially early in the movie, we are really confused about who could be Chu Ming, because we don't know anybody in the cast yet.
Yeah.
Like, they get introduced as potentially this super powerful assassin guy. And a lot of the editing is stuff like them like turning away from the camera and the character who's trying to figure out their identity, and doing that as kind of like a way of showing off how good they are at kung fu.
That was fine. That's not what I'm talking about at all.
What scenes are you talking about?
Hold on one second, Joel.
Okay.
All right, so I'm sorry, Joel. Continue with what you were saying.
What I was saying is I don't have the grounding in the background in like Chinese folk legend to know exactly what they were talking about. It seemed to me that there was some kind of story, mythical allegory or something about like the ancient ancestors of China. There's like a male and a female, and it has some correlation to like positive and negative magnetic charges, and like apparently there's some story where there's some kind of magnetic magical wheel that was involved, and if you get inside of it, it disorients you. And they introduced that in like the third act, the end of the third act, and then in the end of the fourth act, they used like they basically set this like elaborate like spell ritual thing up to trap the bad guy in with that, and it has something to do with the duality of male and female, and that's important in a way that's not clear in the translation.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was one of the interesting parts of the film because her character is presenting herself as a man earlier, or most of the movie, and so yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I liked the idea of the device itself. The execution of it I thought was a little odd, and I think the editing is the thing that really hurt it. Do you know what I mean? Because the editing was clouding what it was supposed to be doing exactly.
Yeah, it's as far as I could tell, it is some kind of ritual space, and when you're in it, it confuses you when the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of shots that you just kind of come out of nowhere. Like when the spell starts, there's an actual graphic there of like this like spinning wheel of fire or energy or something.
Yeah.
And that was the only moment I was like, oh, okay, they're casting a spell. They can cast spells?
Yeah, it was a little unclear what was going on exactly, but I thought it was an interesting concept. It was definitely something that would be gameable, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's one of those bits that like you could really make a game out of that. I like those things in games where like it's not like a spell like a Vancian spell, but like it's a ritual you can put together as like a fighter, a thief, or whatever, and it just like works, kind of like science. I think that's neat.
Well, and also the idea, like I hadn't seen this movie before. But I had the thing that they do with like their 9 Mungs. I did that in an adventure. I don't know if you participated in it or not, but there was an adventure I did, which is going to be in a book that I got coming out, where there's a guy that the players need to track down, and he's sort of involved in this mysterious kidnapping. But he hires 9 actors to pretend to be him, so that he can, so that he can go off and go to like a brothel or something while the actors are just sort of contending with anybody that's coming after him. And it was a lot of fun. It was tremendous fun, and this movie reminded me a lot of that kind of a thing. I mean, it's kind of a trope, but I thought that I don't know, that was one of the more interesting parts of the movie for me, was there being 9 monks. And I'm sorry.
No, that was neat. There's a lot of individual neat things like that in this movie that I think make it worth watching alone. But even beyond that, like, it's a pretty solid little movie. The mystery is actually really engaging. The characters are really likable. And we watched this because of the actress that is in it, right? Well, like that was our reasoning for watching it.
And we should be accurate in our description of this movie. This is a rickety film. Do you know what I mean? This is a very rickety film. What?
It is rickety. Yeah. Yes, that's a good description.
It's very rickety. It does not follow like a very clear-cut storyline. Like, it's not like one of these movies where it's moving in a way that this feels like a well-crafted film and story. It sort of settles in a place, in a location, and has a group of characters there, and stuff kind of happens, and you really have to enjoy the characters and enjoy the fighting sequences to enjoy the film. Would you say that that's pretty accurate?
Well, here's the thing. The film isn't about what it's about. The whole mystery thing, the whole overthrowing the Qing, or bringing the Qing back, it's not about that. Not almost at all. What it's really about is the burgeoning romance between our two leads, and the fact that they have a case of mistaken identity going on, and the weird sort of pseudo love triangle that complicates things. That's what it's actually about, and that stuff is gold.
Well, that's the best part of the movie, I think.
Absolutely.
I think that's the best part of the movie, and part of it is because the two leads are Wuxia and Polly Shang-Kaun, so they're both good actors, and Lolier is the other character in that triangle. So you have these, three very recognizable actors with a lot of charisma, and Yu Hua and Polly Shang-Kaun actually have a lot of chemistry here too.
I believed them a lot. Yeah.
And it's very fun because, and again, you got to understand this is like 1978, this movie, but like again, it's the trope that she's dressed as a man and people automatically buy it no matter how pretty she is, and so it produces a lot of.
Well, she's wearing eye makeup full movie.
Yeah, well, and what's funny too is it produces a lot of like sexual confusion that people just totally accept. Do you know what I mean? So Yu Hua's
your attitude.
Yeah, like Yu Hua, he believes she's a man, and he obviously doesn't feel that he is attracted to men, but he tells her if she was a woman that he would marry her. And then when she says, "Oh, well, guess what? I have a sister who looks exactly like me." He's like, "Oh, that would be great." And like,
yeah, marry her, that'll work.
What was that?
I'll marry her, that'll work. And then at one point, she's like, "Would you really marry me?" Because again, still masquerading as a man, and he's like, "What do you want? Two men to get married? What an absurd notion!"
Yeah. But he's clearly attracted. He's clearly attracted to her, but he just doesn't. He doesn't accept that she's a woman. He thinks that she's a man, and so it's like he can accept. I don't understand. I don't know how to put it, but it's like you said. They're just very cavalier about it. There's sort of a. It's one of the strange things that sometimes crops up in these wuxia things because of the woman is able to dress as a man, and it's different film to film, but for the most part people generally just accept it and buy it, and there's no real question. And so I don't know, but the dancing they do around this becomes very charming, especially when he meets her sister, right? And in quotes, and then again he meets the sister, so Polly Shang-Kaun is playing herself her character is playing the sister dressed as a man, basically, right? Like it's one character, but the character keeps alternating between being dressed as a man or being dressed as a woman. And the Yu Hua character, when he meets the female version, is a little bit put off by how quiet she is. And when he meets the male version again, he's like, "Well, she's not like you. She's not as active as you are." And you can tell that he likes the active personality of the male version, right? So, yeah. So it's just it's just a very interesting movie.
It is, and like, I don't know, there's something about that that's just so endearing. It's so charming, and the actors have good chemistry, and they really are just like, they're fun to watch. They are having such a good time with it. So yeah, it makes the movie really enjoyable, and like also, it contrasts really strongly with just the brutality of the fight scenes. They're really intense, and like they're not gory, but like they're impactful. You know, like there's the one where he's fighting the tigers earlier on in the movie, and he kills one of them, and it starts like going into slow motion in the middle of the take. Yeah. As the guy like falls reeling backward, like grabbing his stomach, and like when he falls like you think he's gonna fall with his tail behind him. Nah, he just falls like really heavy on the marble floor, and it's just like really gut wrenching watching that. Like, oh my god, that guy is really stabbed. Well, he's selling it.
I want to talk about the fighting because I have a lot of comments about that. But before we do, just so I don't forget, I also want to talk about the innkeeper's sister and how she's also flirting with the Polly Shang-Kaun character when she thinks he's a man. Which again, this is something you see more frequently in some of these films, where it's sort of a playful, the woman is falling in love with the woman dressed as a man type thing. But here, I thought that the woman playing the sister was she had like the flirtatious thing down perfectly.
It was very flirtatious, and it was played more for comedy. It wasn't like titillation or anything.
Yeah, no, it was very funny. It was meant to be very funny, and that's what I mean by it.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was charming. It's what the kids call wholesome nowadays. It was very wholesome.
Wholesome, but yeah. So I don't know. I just like all the beats around that. But so back to the fighting. I thought that the fights in this were really well done. And yes. I was particularly impressed by Polly Shang-Kaun's martial arts in this movie, because we've seen her in other films, and I feel like, and I don't know what the chronology is of Zodiac Fighters. I can't remember the year that one came out, and sometimes it's not a product of the actor evolving as much as it's just the choreography or whatever. But her spinning kicks were excellent in this, wouldn't you say? Like, the
fight choreography was outstanding in this one. She especially was quite a star. She was nimble. She had really good, like, the way she moved, like, felt really powerful and specific, and it felt natural. Like, it feels stilted or like an actor. It felt like someone who was a real kick-ass martial artist.
It felt really, like she was training. I felt like she was somebody who trains. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, she was doing a lot of spinning hook kicks in this, right? And those are really difficult to do. In fact, I just tried to do some again the other day after years of not doing them, and I used to do them a lot. And they're fucking hard. They're not easy to pull off because the balance has to be right. Your flexibility has to be at the level that it needs to be, because you're spinning and you're lifting your leg up high and then you're doing a hook kick, and just everything has to come together perfectly, and you need the power and you need the speed, and I thought she brought
like moves like water. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I was really impressed with it. I was because a lot of times you kind of give lead actors, unless it's like somebody like a Jet Li type, you sort of give them a little bit of room, right? For they're not gonna be a pure martial artist unless it's somebody who's like a real pure martial artist. And I know there's different things that I've heard about her, but I'm pretty sure she does have some kind of martial arts background or training that developed during the course of her career. And I don't know exactly what that is, but whatever she was doing, it worked beautifully in this movie. This was, really solid physical performance from not just her, but like pretty much everybody. I don't think I really had a complaint.
Yeah, the fights were really breathtaking, and they were intense, and they were engaging, and there was a lot of them. I was surprised at the amount of fighting in this movie, because like it sort of was like a Detective D movie, kind of. It centered around the mystery, and there was a good amount of fighting in that movie, but this movie, like, it's packed to the gills with some real great action.
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree with that, and I think that I don't know how to put it, that it's the kind of movie where you sort of have to accept that a lot of it is just sort of, we're just going to have an excuse to fight all of a sudden. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind. I'm sorry?
There's a bit of that, yes, I concur. But I didn't mind. I mean, like, 'cause once you swallow the pill that sometimes they don't beat around the bush with this movie. Like, the opening fight is like a guy in a cart and the back flips off, and it's like the main assassin guy will be fighting the rest of the movie. And he just whips out this chain and starts killing dudes, like bam, like that. And that's within the first like 3-4 minutes of the movie. As soon as they're talking about like what the movie's not about, but is kind of about, or it's like, oh, these guys are gonna bring back the chain, bam, time for the hook to come out.
Yeah. So
yeah, the movie lets you know what it's about. So if you like that scene, you're going to be on board for the rest of the movie. It's going to be more of that. It's great.
And I do have to say, it's one of these films where it's not well restored, so the image is a little bit faded. The music is okay at times.
No, dude, the music is rockin' good.
Okay, you like okay. Sell the music then.
The music is amazing. We just start listening to this movie. Put it on Prime and just start listening. And there's just this boom, like this really military drum thing in the background. And I was like, all right, let's do this movie. This is some freaking Akira stuff going on right here. I'm digging it.
I like the military drum beat, but I do think there are musical sections of this film that will sound dated to people, is how I'll put it.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
But man, that riff is real good.
No, that was a solid riff. That got your blood pumping, which, by the way, is what good Wuxia soundtracks should do. They should get your blood pumping, get you excited for the action. Do you know what I mean? That's okay. All right, I am going to show you. We're going to end a little bit early, Joel, tonight, and I'm going to show you classic Wuxia soundtracks so you understand what I'm saying. Because this is a thing. This is like a thing that Like wuxia music really needs to like whether it's like the opening for Last Hurrah for Chivalry or the opening song for the like 83 version of Legend of Condor Heroes. They really need to get the blood flowing to get your mind in the right place for wuxia, I feel.
There's a certain zen for wuxia. You got to get that balance just
well,
right.
It's sort of like they kind of got to pump you up like you're going to train somewhere. You're going to, do you know what I mean? Like, or like you're going in. You just, I don't know. I just feel like you really need to have like a. I feel like that's what wuxia is meant to be. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a certain, it's like there's a certain sound that's almost like a combination of war and drama. Do you know what I mean? There's like and you need to hit that to kind of to get the musical atmosphere of wuxia.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of describing it. Where it's like there's sort of a military like beat going on there, but there's also like that kind of like reed and string that they do. Yeah, well, no,
there's
right.
like a human thing. It's like the military and the human emotion kind of coming together. Do you know what I mean?
It's very important.
But
that's you really got it there.
But anyways, what would you do with this movie in terms of gaming content? What would your I don't know, just how would you handle it?
Well, actually, after having played The Strange Tales of Song Ling with you guys a couple times, I would probably take the mystery element and try to center a session or so around that. I really dug that element to this movie. I thought that was neat. Because, I don't know, like, they kept... Much like whenever we played Strange Tales, like, we had different kinds of strategic approaches to try to figure out the mystery, and by pursuing those leads, we interacted with different characters, and like we sort of like advanced and we explored the setting, and it was a great way to take all the content that was prepped there and really bring it to the game in a really good way.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. So yeah, I think centering a session or an adventure around a mystery is a really a way to get your players to explore in a way that's not like kind of a dungeon crawl. It's more of like a going around town sort of thing, but it still keeps them engaged because they've got a central problem they're trying to solve, and they've different approaches to doing so. That'd be my...
Yeah, I like adventures that are mystery, character driven, and allow for players to kind of sit in the location and confer with one another. Do you know what I mean? Because I think one thing players really enjoy is talking to each other about what they should do, which there's a lot of in this movie, right? This movie has a lot of characters sitting in a room saying, "Who do you think it is?" Do you know what I mean? Who's Chu Erming? You know, could it be this guy? Could it be that guy?
Strategy.
Yeah, the strategizing aspect. It's something. It's. I think a lot of GMs, when they're running games, when they first encounter this, their impulse is to try to speed along play. The players will slow things down by conferring, and the GM will say, "Uh-oh, the story isn't happening, or the adventure isn't moving forward. I better."
A lot of brand new GMs nowadays would be like, "My plot isn't."
Yeah.
Don't have a plot, kids.
And this is why I sometimes think it's bad to model your adventure. Like I've been encountering this. I've been involved in a lot of discussions on RPGs and adventure structure, and I'm encountering a lot of people who emulate modules a little bit rigidly. Do you know what I mean? Like that's their model, and you know, if you are only thinking in terms of a module structure, you might bump into this and think, oh, we got to do something. Something has to happen. Whether it's the story or whether an encounter needs to take place, something's got to occur that is where I'm properly doing my GM duties and keeping and managing the game. Do you know what I'm saying? And
yeah. The thing about that, though, and I fall into that a lot myself. I've been easing back from it, though, because what I've realized, what I'm certain you're probably about to tell us, is that when the players are the ones directing the pace of the game, your game is awesome for them and for you.
Yeah. No, that's that's one part of it, and the other part I would say is what I just realized is, hey, my players are talking with each other about something that seems fairly mundane and not important to me, but they're having a great time. I'm doing very little work, and so this is actually like a landing space for me to stop and think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's the best of both worlds. Your players are having a great time. You've gotten them to that point by all the other stuff you've done leading up to it. And now you can relax and you can catch your breath and you can stop and think about stuff that needs to be managed. Maybe you have to figure out what a certain NPC might be doing given the courses of actions that they're taking. Or maybe you just need to sort of get some notes ready because the players are talking about going to see, Admiral Hu Chi, and you need to you need to get Admiral Hu Chi's, information or something.
Block anyway, it's in one of these books. Yeah. It's a good time to go rifling through your books. Which when the players see you doing that, they realize that you're still involved in the game. Just there's a lot of stuff going on behind the curtain, which is absolutely fine. And really, when I think about it, some of my favorite moments in games when I'm playing are those moments when I'm just like, me and the other characters are just like yakking it up in character like we're in a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
And it's role-playing. We're role-playing. It's fun to role-play. Who would have thunk it?
Well, here's what it is. Players care about their fun. They don't care about your genius as a GM. Do you know what I mean? And so, don't make it about you. Just make it about, are the players having fun? And again, not to the degree of what people might call the tyranny of fun, right? Where you're almost making sure that the appropriate doses of fun are being administered over the course of the night. Not that. I'm talking about just checking the pulse of the game. If the players are having fun, then it's fine, and you don't need to fix anything if fun is occurring, right? It's only when fun isn't occurring that you need to step in and say, okay, what's going on here? Is this...
What's happening? There's a problem.
Yeah. Or is it a necessary stall before something fun happens? Or have we deviated somewhere and things aren't working? But...
And, though, you can compare that to a conversation, too. If you're the person who's in charge of a conversation, you're leading it, and your friends start kind of kibitzing, and they're having a good time, and everyone's still hanging out, it's not really necessary for you to guide them back into the conversation.
Yeah.
You can wait until it naturally kind of goes back that way. Or if it doesn't, whatever.
In fact, that's probably a better use of your energy. Do you know what I mean? It's probably kind of using knowing when to not use force. Do you know what I'm saying? And just kind of allowing something to arise. But
also, an important thing, if your game is structured properly, even with those kind of things, you don't necessarily have anything you have to get them back to. The game will kind of naturally take care of it. A lot of times, if you're in a mega dungeon or something, there's always something to do because going in any direction and looking for anything makes the game function. So, and that's not the only game structure that does that. But when you structure your game properly, doing anything causes it to lurch forward. So they can basically not avoid it.
Well, yeah, and also in a situation like this, if you have the what's his name, Chu Erming, if you have a character like that's a threat, then naturally it's something interesting is going to happen eventually anyways, right? Because it doesn't matter if the players are just sitting in one spot talking to a stone for 30 minutes. Eventually, Chu Erming is going to take action, and so it'll all work out fine. This is the kind of adventure that's probably one of the easier ones for a GM to manage because it's simply about letting the players conduct their investigation, and all you have to do is play the Chu Erming character, right? Or characters in this case.
Sorry, it was gassy.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
I put some tiger sauce on pizza earlier because it gives me the strength of 10,000 men, and also it tastes real good. So, but I mean, there's going to be a consequence for eating that.
What did you put on there?
Tiger sauce.
Tiger sauce.
Tiger sauce. It's delicious, Brendan. It's got a tiger on the bottle. I never tried it before.
Okay.
But I was but I saw it, and it was a little green bottle with a red liquid, and it had a little red plastic stopper. It had a tiger on it. All it said was tiger sauce, and I'm like, that's got the blood of a snake that's eaten elk and ginseng for 1,000 years in it. I've got to put some of that on my pizza.
Okay.
And I couldn't find my delicious Chef Paul Prudhomme's pizza magic stuff. They had all his other stuff. They didn't have the pizza magic. And I was like, curses! The one night I want pizza. I can't have my delicious spicy Prudhomme spices on it.
My wife is Thai. When I first met her, I was going to her Thai restaurant all the time. And I don't know if you've ever been to a Thai restaurant, and I'm sure it varies from state to state, but they have spice ratings, right, for the food. Like they'll do like, 1 star, two, not one pepper, 2 pepper, 3 pepper,
Oh,
and so I remember when I met my wife, she started giving me the spice levels that they actually ate in the kitchen. Do you know what I mean? And so she was saying, which was like the 10 pepper, apparently, was how she described it. And oh my God, that like I thought I liked spicy food, and I did, but you have to build up to like those levels sometimes.
Yeah, you got to go through train.
So
also,
my, oh, go ahead.
Different ethnicities have different reactions to capsaicin. Like I'm Irish, so I love spicy food, but it will cause me to die. So,
But isn't that? I thought that was largely just like the endurance that you've built up to it over.
No, it's an allergy. Human beings are allergic to capsaicin, and different people are allergic to different degrees. There's some level of that, which has something to do with ethnicity. Just a little thing. I know a lot about spicy food because I love it so much.
Okay, because what I found was I could eat it, but I had to work up to it. And once I worked up to it, I was fine. But then if like today, because I haven't had it in ages, if I went back and tried to eat that 10 pepper spice, because basically what 10 peppers was she took like a handful of crushed red pepper and poured it all over the pad thai. Do you know what I mean? It was just, there was so much red pepper in this pad thai that it was just completely mixed in with the pad thai. Do you know what I'm saying? So there was, you were just constantly getting, hot red pepper in your mouth. And not to be gross, but this was the kind of spice level where you felt it in the morning. Do you know what I mean? You felt it at both ends of your body. Yeah.
Man, I used to eat spicy food so often. Like the tiger sauce is a little spicy for the record, but it's like introducing your friends to Indian food spicy, where you're like, okay, like you'll talk to the kitchen and be like, okay, these guys have never eaten Indian food before. Give them the lowest spice you can, but it's a little so they get the idea. And they're still sitting over there sweating like I was sweating by eating. So, oh man, it's really spicy. It's not spicy, Joel. You're just a wimp.
So have you worked your endurance up to the tiger sauce, or is it still?
No. The tiger sauce is not spicy. This is the beginning of a new journey of heat for me.
Okay.
What I want to get to, I'm doing a lot of I'm changing my diet. I've been doing a lot of different cooking, so I want to do more Indian food, and I want it to be authentic, which means it's going to burn me.
Okay.
So, trying to build up my endurance. So it's I get kind of a mild pizza. I'm gonna put some tiger sauce on it. And
I get you.
I'm strong.
Yeah, I think work your way up slowly is the way to go there. I think you don't need to jump right up to the highest spice level conceivable.
Don't begin at 10 pepper because you will die.
Yeah, it's just it's the first week I ate that way, I seriously thought I thought I was sick because I was not accustomed to how it made my whole body feel. And then I realized, oh no, this is just I've been eating spicy food for 4 days, and that's what happens. So, but here's what I will say: it was the most delicious pad thai I had ever had. Like it added a dimension of flavor I didn't even know that the pad thai had, and so it's definitely worth trying. And also just something I don't know. Again, it probably varies a lot from restaurant to restaurant and, person to person. But a lot of times I would have my friends request 10 pepper at the restaurant, and they would take one look at the person and think, oh, no, this person can't handle a real 10 pepper. And so my wife would tell me later, no, we just gave them 6 pepper. Do you know what I mean? Just that was the heat level that we thought the person could handle. So, if you really want the high spice level, you might have to, really work your way up. Yeah.
That makes sense though, because I got hooked on Indian food because I went to an Indian restaurant. There was a really nice one. I can't remember what it's called now. But back when I lived in Tennessee, I would eat there all the time. And eventually the food got spicier. Because I kept, as soon as the first time I went in, I'm like, give me the hottest stuff you got. I love spicy food. And the waiter looked at me like, sure you do. And this food was very hot. So I was like, wow, this stuff is spicy. That's great. And I kept going in because it was so delicious. Real Indian cooking is unbelievably good. And it was once they got to know me and recognized me on site, they're like, okay, all right, let's work him up a little bit. So I get the good stuff.
All right,
So yeah, but you know what? It's a worthwhile investment. Go and patronize your local eateries, folks. Very good for them.
And so I hate to cut it off here, but and speaking of my wife, I have to go pick up my wife at the train station in a few moments, and so we're gonna have to end the episode here.
I don't think it's a good place to end it though, because that's kind of how the movie ends too. They have this wonderful little romantic thing that you're really invested in the whole movie, and they're like, okay, it all worked out.
Yeah, this is. I mean, we're gonna do more Polly Shang-Kaun for sure because, and again. I don't know what you would rate this movie. I would probably give this movie a 3 out of 5, and I would say it's a very enjoyable 3. But yeah, I wouldn't give it a higher. I don't want to give the wrong impression that this is like a 5 or something. This is
It's enjoyable. It's absolutely enjoyable, and it banks very strongly on the strength of its main characters and its main actors, and it's got a lot of interesting, quirky stuff. Give it a watch.
Yeah, I think. It's definitely worth checking out, and I really want to encourage people to check out Polly Shang-Kaun if they haven't, because she's charismatic, she's adorable, and she's also very proficient at the martial arts on screen. Do you know what I mean? It's a really unusual combination, I think. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there are other actors that have like 2 of those qualities, but I don't generally see that many that have all 3. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe an actor like Kara Hui kind of has that, but her charm is a different brand of charm, if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Than Polly Shang-Kaun. So I think. Oh, go ahead.
This is 99 Cycling Blades. What's our next one we're gonna watch with her?
We don't know yet, but we'll pick one out, and I think there was one up on Prime with Carter Wong in it, so I think we'll try to get that one. And we'll see what we can do. So until next time, we will talk to you later.